Yo, what's going on, guys? This camera going? What's up? We're back this Tuesday, doing some more work on these super fun orcs. Last time we were working on some characters. Teamboard tray going down here, but yeah, got these guys done. But yeah, got this guy finished up. Sort of our high mobility dude. Looking really cool. And then our librarian. Got all that nice weathering, decals, pretty cool cape. And then our little tech marine guy. I think I might do a little bit of dry brushing on his axe. That might be something I forgot to do. Let's go back and do that real quick. But otherwise, he's finished. I feel like that turned out. And I've been using these new markers I got. This one is the fluorescent pink, and it's making the mono eyes like super pop on camera, which is cool. So yeah, I've been just working on these squads. Working on getting them all ready for San Diego Classic at the start of March, or not March, May. So we got this other squad. It's going to be like a reddish orange color. And then all these guys on my desk here, which are going to be my purifiers. They're all Desert Zaku's with the cannon. So I've been working on these today. Looks like I got a little bit of wash bleed on this guy's collar. Oh well, I'll fix that. Yeah, so I've just been chugging through the steps on these. Trying to work through those, get them done. So I think I'll just keep chugging through those. I want to do like a fix on this one guy though, while I'm thinking of it. To fix that color. Yeah, so same basic 101 stuff do with every army. Starting off with some airbrushing, get our basic colors locked in. We start blocking in colors. So on these guys, get our basic airbrushing, nice little dry brush to start picking out some of these details. Cutting in different colors like these browns and our gunmetals. Trev Tara, thanks for that follow, dude. So yeah, it's just what I've been doing today, looking through those, and we'll just keep doing that. So I think we're ready to do some bronze. Atticus. Thanks for the follow. So I think I think I just painted in it by hand on my other guys, but I've got some markers. And I can't remember if I got the markers. I might just have to use my metallics from Ray Studios. So I don't think I ever picked up that tip. Looking like okay. About the same. Bart. Thanks for following. All right, so I haven't used. I know I've used these types before because I have the color testing on there, so I kind of know what those look like. But this one I got from AK, which is probably the same exact thing, but I do want to test it just to see what it looks like because sometimes there is variation. Let's do like where's my little test mini? Old jabroni here. I don't know if I like this or not. This seems a little separated. Maybe I have to give this a really good shake. Usually these pens are like ready to go out of the box. Is Warhammer? Yeah. Doing some fun stuff with Warhammer. This armory is very heavily themed. I'm a big Warhammer nerd. I'm also a big Gundam nerd. And so I'm combining my two loves with this army. It did dry relatively quickly. Maybe that's kind of the thing. Oh yeah, see, way concentrated. Okay. So that's what one from AK looks like. Let's try. Maybe I need to shake all these. That's been a while since I used them. One from Ray Studios. There is a subtle difference. Very close though. Very close. So I don't know that it'll matter all that much. I have my gold marker from their brand, but it's a very yellow. See how this like, it's almost like metallic yellow, like not necessarily a gold, like the way that we're used to gold looking kind of like this, like a more brassy, goldy color. So it works for this because he's wearing his little Gobbo helmet that was supposed to be the Bad Moon. So I like that kind of metallic yellow, but for the trim pieces and stuff, I want to go with a more traditional kind of Warhammer gold. I've also got this pen, which is more markery, not markery, coppery. It's not one to shake up pretty good. Let's see. So I think I'm gonna do this one because I want to say that the paint that I mixed for my other dudes was closer to that color. So here's one of my finished guys. You can see the trim is a little bit more coppery based before the highlights. So let's do that, and then I can highlight it back up with normal gold paints afterwards. Later, Jade, what's up, dude? So these markers are really cool. The one downside is that these tips are very, very stiff. And so for a lot of Warhammer stuff, it has these rivets on it. You got to be really careful and have like a very light hand so that it doesn't catch. Because what can happen is the fibers of this very, very thick, stiff marker can catch things like rivets and get hung up, and then it'll flick little droplets of metallic paint like all over the place when it releases. Which is why I've kind of been on the hunt for an alternative. Because the finish of these chrome markers is like unparalleled. But the drawback is, of course, that they're not quite designed for what we want to do as miniatures painters. With these like busier surfaces that can be a pain to use. But it is really easy to use them. That works fine. I think that's all gold. We'll do just like the shoulder pad trim. Maybe one day I'll be able to find like felt that will suit my needs. I mean, like this other brand, the DSPIA or whatever it's called, they might make more markers that I'm just not aware of in metallics. So those are like what I really want, but the colors are a little off. Oh, Kenny coming in with a raid. What's up, dude? The birthday boy. Oh, dang. Almost had it bled a little bit. Who's that follow? Nora. At least that follow. To go back and correct that one. It's stray. What is up, everybody? Let's go. Just painting on some orcs. Super cool themed orcs. Talking about markers and pens. These little hobby hacks. This is like my new obsession. And like you saw on that guy, some of the teeny tiny little details, these are not great for. Just a little bit of bleed to them. But for trim, like shoulder pad trim, they work pretty dang good. Just gotta be careful. Have a light hand. Kylie, thanks for the follow. I was going over the pros and cons. So these harder tip markers are really cool for the chrome finish on these colors, but you don't have a lot of control the way that you do with a brush tip or a felt tip pen. And they can get hung up on little details like the rivets and such. So I would like to go in and do some of these little overlay pieces that is on their armor, like I was trying to do on this guy, but you can see how it's so shallow that the paint just sort of bled off of the edge, and so I'll have to go in and paint over that and clean it up. Um, yeah, so I have some of the AK ones. This one is just a chrome marker from Ray Studios. Um, they make a lot of stuff, typically targeted at like Gundam modelers, but he makes some really sick tools, and he has his own line of paints that's pretty good, um, and stuff like these markers. So my hunt has been for like the perfect like gold, brass, bronze marker to do stuff like this. Um, and these work pretty good. You know, like this sort of like bronze copper color is great. Uh, but for anything smaller than this shoulder pad trim, they don't work all that great. And all these tools are super sick. Like the real markers from AK are a felt tip, um, but they're kind of like stubby and fat. So you can really only do like larger stuff with them. And they don't make any metallics other than aluminum and gunmetal. So you're kind of limited there. And then you've got the play markers, which are the brush tip ones, but so far I have not been very impressed with those. The paint colors just don't really have a lot of stick to them. The way that they were kind of advertised a year or so ago. So I don't know. Maybe the gold one in that one is actually really good. I keep forgetting to order one because I only have the silver metallics from them. And then I've got these new ones from maybe somebody in the chat can tell me how to say it, but it's like DSPIAE is the brand name. Um, and they're like the perfect marker tip because it's a felt tip, it's a little flexible, and it's very sharp, so you can do smaller things with it. Um, they've got some sick colors, but their gold is very yellow. I used it on this guy, his little hat, uh, or his helmet for the Bad Moon. Very yellow. Like basically, it's just metallic yellow. It's not really a gold because the gold is. It's got a little bit of that copper brown. It's got a little bit of that bronziness, a little bit of red sometimes mixed in, um, which is what we're looking for. Uh, so I haven't really wanted to use that one for my golds. and these are fine. Like if you're just doing trim and you're not trying to do anything else, then like these are fine. But kind of my hunt for efficiency is like I want the marker that can do trim pieces, but also smaller details like the little skulls or like the chest eagles on the Space Marines and stuff. Like your stuff you got to do a lot of painting Warhammer, right? Because we're painting armies, we're trying to be efficient, especially for chaos. If you're a chaos player, um, I don't know that I would want to do all the trim with this marker just because of it wanting to get hung up on rivets and stuff, and its potential to just bleed off of shallow details, which can like eat time because you have to go back and fix things. We're trying to be as efficient as possible. Just having sick looking models. That's the trade off, right? So you can definitely be more efficient, but your models might be like sloppy and gross and look like contrast painted models. Um, that's not what we want. We want dope looking models. Try to save time. Cool, what's going on? Do all 15 of these Subronies. This is the reason my holy grail is like these tools that will save me time whilst also letting my models look sick because I love painting. Obviously, I wouldn't do this hobby if I didn't enjoy painting. Um, but the one thing that I hate the most is batch painting, where we're doing what we're doing right now. I'm like, okay, gotta paint the gold trim, all 15 of these things. Then I gotta paint the gunmetal, all 15 of these things. Yeah. Um, and so things like these markers are something that I'm really stoked for because I can still have like the same level of, you know, gold standard paint rubric models that look sick, um, without having to use a bunch of brushwork. Just do this like way faster. Yeah. And so I mean, like every project that I do has some airbrushing, right? Like I did the airbrushing for the armor, which is why we have this nice like radiant shadow effect. Details are popping. Some little dry brush on top of there helps it out. But every project, every unit, you gotta go in, you gotta paint all the little dealy doos. You're like, I gotta paint the tactical pouches and holsters on all 30 of these Space Marines. Oh boy. You know. That type of stuff is just not, it's not like fun. It's not like wow factor type stuff. I don't mind airbrushing stuff because that's where like a lot of the cool points for your army comes from. But it's all of this stuff, all the menial, tedious tasks, getting an army looking battle ready. Might just come in with this yellow metallic that I have to do some of these like overlays. Armor. That way I have like good mix of different metallics, like kind of helps tell a story of different materials. So in point of fact, it's not actually an orc unit. These are Grey Knight Purifiers. So for those of you who haven't been following the project, I'll get into it. As part of a longer thing, I taught myself Blender, and I was like, okay, I want to do some cool stuff now that I know Blender. Or like a little bit of Blender. I don't know, I'm not fluent in Blender yet. So I made a bunch of cool orc stuff, and these guys are basically goblins in power armor. Because I love painting orcs, and I love the vibe of orcs, but many times the rules for orcs are kind of lame. Not the way that I like to play. And I also like to play lower model count, more elite armies. One, because it's just easier on me. Two, I like the playstyles a bit better. Three, they travel really well. So I was like, I can do these goblins, Gretchen or Gobbos, in power armor. And that lets me do a lot of things where I can like heavily theme this stuff. So theming all this stuff around the Gundam franchise just because I'm a big Gundam nerd. And I can have stuff like this where you have like an orcified Gundam. Excuse me. Which is just super fun to paint and super cool to have on the table. You know, it's very, very wow factor. People are like, yeah, that's so cool. It's ooh, ah, kind of stuff. Yeah, and so I can use those as Nemesis Dread Knights, and then I've got my other guys, which are Grey Knight units. But yeah, it takes a little bit of talking through it to let people know exactly what's going on with this army. It's so weird. Okay, so this is that gold from this other company. You can see how yellow it is. Brilliant, thanks for follow. You can see because it has this really sharp felt tip on there that's a little flexible. Um, it's way easier to control on these surfaces, and it doesn't bleed as much. So I can paint in these little overlay details much easier. Still not the best for like extra super teeny tiny stuff. It's where you just gotta have to have like some practice, have a little deft hand. But yeah, I can like cut that stuff in way simpler with this. It's just the color is a little awkward. It's not quite what I was looking for, but it fits within the color scheme of these two units, so that's fine. Kind of just gonna pick and choose. I think for this guy, just do this star emblem. When I was messing with these guys originally, had a little bit more. Uh, I guess my eyes were a little bit bigger than my mouth as far as painting projects, so to speak. So these guys had a lot of details on them, and I ended up going back into the files and like stripping some of that off, just because going in and painting in like every single one of these little overlays is such a time sink. Certainly a little bit faster with this than with a brush. I like get out the paint, thin the paint, put it all down, make sure that my brush is staying nice and clean, all that kind of stuff. Just limited in color choices. I think this company makes a bunch of like matte paint colors too. Let's look into them. ripping through these details. This is why I like hobby hacks like this. I need to create like a separate pile of the guys that I know I need to like do a little bit of cleanup on. Look at this. Still some human error. It's not perfect. Probably would have made the same mistakes if I was using a brush, just because some of these details are so shallow. A little bit of help too. I always like to do little corrections as needed rather than as a separate step, just because it's so easy to forget, like where you made a mistake 3 models ago or whatever. You know, like if I just did um, all of these to where I'm ready to like seal them for putting on decals, and waited until I was at that point to do cleanups, I'd miss a lot of the cleanups I needed to do just because memory. I think that was. I think I need to have Cooper. Nice. All 15 this time. Alright, now what do I need to do? Oh yeah. Cables and some of the gaps. And I think for that I will just have to go ahead and use a brush. Start off with our rubber color, which is Dark Sea Pen. Sometimes these details are just a little too small and tricky to do with the markers. Super quick and easy. It's the kind of stuff that is just like the most mind-numbing. That's why I'm always hunting for like more efficient ways to paint stuff. just when you're in like a flow of working through stuff, and then like you get a huge slowdown like this. It's just like, oh, yeah, it kills me. We're being like so time efficient with markers. Only 5 down. Oh my god. All right. Let's pose a question to chat. What are you guys most excited for with 11th edition? Pure agents, get a cool army roll. Yeah, that'd be neat. I mean, like, I think the detachment system change is going to be huge for everyone. So I'm trying to these guys backwards so I know which ones I finished, which ones I didn't. I think I am gonna like take a second though and let my paint hand rest. change the music. The old Twitch. I have to use no copyright music. Let's see. Let's try this out. Upbeat. Yeah, it's kind of a good jam like this. I think I should be far enough ahead on getting this army ready for a tournament by Friday that we can switch over and work on just something purely for the stream Friday. Maybe do some more traditional 40k stuff, or got some StarCraft. Paint up drawing a blank. Jim Raynor. Jim Raynor from StarCraft for the StarCraft miniatures game. Got him at Adepticon. Or I could go back to working on some stuff for Gundam Assemble. Yeah, I haven't cracked it open and looked at the plastic just yet. So I really want to see what the production stuff is like. So, like you got somebody that like a studio painter that does all your promotional stuff for you. They can make dog shit look pretty good. So it's always important to see like what the actual plastic looks like. I think the some of the promotional stuff we saw were like prototypes. I'm trying to think, there was this like skirmish game. Yeah, completely drawn a blank on what the name was, but there was like this really cool post-apocalyptic skirmish game um, years ago that people were buying a ton of models for because this really famous studio painter was doing all the models for them, and then like you'd crack open the model and it was just, oh god, the castings were like so bad, and like the details were like all gummed up, and you're like, oh, so they just like made up a lot of this detail with painting. Oh, okay, cool, cool, cool. That's exciting. Last guy. Oh my gosh. I think the model that I actually want the most from the StarCraft game is actually the Vulture. Or I was hoping that instead of Power Armor Jim Raynor, they would do Jim Raynor on his hover bike first. Because if I remember right, he doesn't get Power Armor until like way later in the campaign of the first game, right? Asking details of like a 20-plus-year-old RTS game. um, I just love the design of the Vulture. It's so cool. It's like my favorite Terran unit. And just the idea that like I think the reason that originally like Jim Raynor was so cool to me is because he was like this like out on the periphery, like frontier sheriff with his like huge fucking gun and his sick like hover motorcycle. And then like I guess it's cool to have him as his power armor, but like he doesn't really become like the power armor army leader hero guy to like StarCraft 2. game somewhere. I think, check. Two more colors. Can do the black for the visors, then the purple for the evox. Okay, so these guys here do not need. These two, let's do. wonder if this will be a good color. Try it. One of the newer markers from AK that's supposed to be one of their like kind of speed paint recipes. Let's test this out on one dude. Let's see what kind of color we get out of it. This paint's actually a little thicker than I was anticipating it. Yeah. But yeah, I think I can do this and then a dry brush of a lighter purple over the top to get the vibe we want to do. And this is like closer to what the paint was like when I demoed the play markers like a couple of years ago. It's like a little bit thicker, a little bit denser coverage. I wonder if it's gonna dry really satiny. I remember them kind of doing that when we demoed them originally. See if I can get the right amount of flow out of this to be a little quicker. These are just about the same as using like a size 3 or 4 brush. But it doesn't end in like a truly sharp point. It ends in kind of like a squared off point. A little bit different than what you might be used to, but they function just like a brush. Which is one of the reasons I like these. It's just like the paint itself has been kind of an issue with the play markers. So maybe these are sort of like the replacement of the play markers. Something, I don't know. I do want a little bit more flow out of this though, because this one step paint is like a little thicker than what I wanted originally. Because sometimes when you're painting stuff, especially when you're trying to like paint coverage rather than detail, you want a little bit more like flow to your paint so that it'll kind of get into It's hard to reach places without extra brush strokes. But we're still saving a lot of time because I don't have to dick with thinning out paint and cleaning out my brush and all that. I'm just having to kind of manage the flow of this. Still trying not to be too aggressive because these are synthetic brushes, which means they're going to have a lot of snap compared to a organic brush. And so if you go like really ham, you will start flicking little paint droplets everywhere. So I'm trying to keep my brush strokes sort of away from the rest of the model, or like really slow it down when I can't. This is my first guy. It's almost like a maroon color, but I guess that works. The desert Zaku's. Kind of like it. Maybe these colors like really need a like whitish undercoat to pop. I've never really fucked with the speed paints and stuff until this moment. I will say too that I think having these like fat marker handles to hold on to has like helped stave off some of like the painting fatigue in my hand. I know not everybody has that issue, but like I paint probably like more volume than most people in our hobby, where I'm painting like almost every single day. Not for super long extended amounts, but I do paint almost every day. Um, but if you're older, or maybe you've had some issues with your hands and joints, these can definitely help with that. Not having to strain as much to hold the teeny little brush. Yeah, I know other companies will make some like thicker brush handles and stuff, but I've never really found one that has like the same level of quality as like Monument or Winsor Newton or some of those paint company or brush makers, you know. Um, so wondering if like maybe what I need to do is design something that's like a sleeve, like a little brush holder sleeve that's kind of like this, and you just put your brush like shove it in there. Yeah. So it's also the problem with brushes is that like brushes, even really good ones, are kind of a perishable resource, right? Like eventually they will get to a point where you can no longer keep a point on them. You can't like, even with soaping them and conditioning them. You know, if you meticulously take care of your brushes, they will last for years, but eventually they will get fucked up somehow. You got to replace them, and so like I don't want to pay for like some brush handles that are all like super thick or whatever when like the brush part is what's going to wear out. And then you're just like, well, I kind of paid extra for this fat handle and I have to throw it away. Don't like that. I also don't want it to be like a material that would be like spongy because that could like, tear or rip or get really dirty. You don't want something that's going to absorb like oils from your hand or whatever. So it would need to be like 3D printed, or you'd have to maybe find some way to have them turned in wood if you wanted like a more premium product. 'Cause even something like a Sharpie is still like probably be like smallest that I would, if I was in a spring for something like that. Um, I don't know. I do a think on it. Let's see. So I don't have a filament printer. And I think part of like if I was just putting my engineer brain to work here, part of what you would want is one of those plastics that has some give to it. Um, so that way like the design tolerances are a little bit less meticulous, a little bit less demanding. You want a little bit of give to it because you're gonna be like squeezing your hand on it, Um, you're gonna be painting with stuff. You're gonna be shoving like your paintbrush in there inside this plastic sleeve thingy. Um, and brushes are not uniform the way that like a pencil is. So you would maybe want something that has a little bit of like flex and give to it, so that it'll continue to grip onto your brush. All right. Looks like I want this to be really good and dry before I do any dry brushing on top of it. So that can be kind of aggressive. So maybe I just leave them at that today. Maybe we can something else I can work on. Split these guys away. I'm gonna change the music too. This is starting to sound like stock commercial jingle shit, which I'm not a fan of. Jeez. Wait, those are weapons. How do I know what weapon I'm? Ew. It's like, it's better be injection plastic. If this is like coated plastic, I'm gonna be like, this fucking sucks. I do appreciate this. This is neat. I I would never use just like clear translucent acrylic like this, but I do really appreciate that as like part of their models, they are including these effect pieces. Um, so like if it were me, I'd paint them, but I think it's cool they're adding those. So this is like this kind of bothers me because like there's other companies that use sort of like metallic coating stuff on their models or on their sprues. See if I can find it's like the base that so this base. Trying to tell if this is like a coating or if this is like actually what the plastic is. Because like basically even really high quality stuff like the Bandai stuff that has these like coatings on it is dog water. It like causes all sorts of issues. So I really am trying to figure out if this is some kind of coating or if there's just like metallic fleck in the plastic. Man, it's so hard to tell. I'm kind of leaning towards the fact this might be some kind of like coding. Because when I'm like scraping this down. Oh no, no. So it's like showing through. Maybe it is just the plastic itself. Because the problem with the if it's like the coating, that stuff does not accept paint very well, which is not an issue for me. Because I'm a really experienced painter and I know what to do. I also use an airbrush to prime all my stuff. But for your average everyday Joe, it's really not great because they're gonna use like their regular primers or shit like that, and it's not gonna stick all that great. But I haven't heard anything about this. So this might just be like what. Might have to ask Jesse too because he's been fucking with it. He's been using the Protoss. He got the Protoss stuff. See, because like it's so weird. Because when I cut into this, it seems like it's just blue plastic underneath, and there's some kind of like coating on top. But it might just be the way that the injection process works. I'd really like to figure this out. Might have to hit up there like Twitter or something, wherever Archon responds to. Be like, yo, the fuck? What is this? What is this stuff? Yeah. Details look tight. It's definitely like a different scale than 40K, so that might throw some people off. Like this face is going to be a lot trickier to paint for people coming from 40K. And you can see that it's like natural, real scale proportions, and it doesn't have like the deep blockiness of a 40K model. So that might be tricky for people. But the power armor details are nice, very crisp. Some of it's like a little shallow, like this part right here, where this part right here. It's like a little bit of a shallow, like smudgy type detail on that line. But that might be somewhere we're not really going to see too much of it. Stuff like this. It's like the inside of the arm, so you won't really see that, but this is like really smudgy detail in here, which is not always the best. Okay, well, might mess around with that later on, and put that together and like paint on them on Friday. Definitely tell they got somebody like really talented to paint that face. It's like your average war gamer is not going to be able to do that. So what do we got? Got some limits. Army rule. Tactical card. No transfer stuff. Interesting. Oh, I like the way they did it on this so much better. Why didn't they make this the promo? Yo, he looks so much cooler. Look how fucking sick this looks. It's all weathered and whatnot. Looks way better than this. This is not nearly as tight. It's on the box. And his box art is different. What? They painted 3 different Jim Raynor promo figs, so like the box art is different than the card art. 2 different models. And this is different from that model in like 3 different painting styles. And like the one they picked for the box isn't even the best one. The card art is like so much better. What is going on here? Bro. I have to have a word. The one, so like the one on the back is this guy. This one. So he has 2 different bases. It's insane to me that they painted 3 different figs for the box art and the card. And then like they didn't even use the best looking one for the box. Absolutely insane. It's almost like this was done with a different, like an entirely different army force or something, because you can see that these all have matching bases. And then this one is different, and they didn't even do any effects for the drone on the box art. And then this drone looks better than the box art as well. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in this business. Man, I'm really wondering it. I'm gonna open it. I bought the Goliath mech as well. Because I kind of wanted to turn this into something for 40K. I'm wondering if the plastic is the same or if that Jim Raynor is maybe like a first wave front. Nope, it's blue, silvery shit. Turbo glossy plastic on the base. Ooh, sick. Like some missiles firing and stuff. See, this is something I do really appreciate. But some of these other decisions, I'm just like, wow. Like, this is... I mean, like, I know why they did it. It's because they want to market this to people who maybe won't paint their models, and so having the Terrans in like their metallic blue and the other factions in like some kind of generic color that represents them. It's, you know, but oh, they did it. They did it for this too. Look, oh my gosh. No wait, is this the same model but different base? So this is the same model. You line up the paint streaks and stuff. It's the same model, but on a regular base, unpainted. Then this one is on like a resin base, because this doesn't come with a base topper. No. So unless this might be from Archon's like baseline or something. So at least these are the same model. And then I wonder if let's see the card. Yeah, so the card art has the better base on it. I'm kind of I want to like ask them directly about this plastic because I want to say that it's not coated. It feels like it's not coated, but it could still be some kind of weird coating. And I just want to be like, who decided which gym raider should be on the box art? Because the significantly better painted gym raider fig not being the box art is so strange to me. And having three separate paint jobs is so wild. All right, that's really all I had to do today. So, um, we'll be back on Friday and paint some more stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna paint StarCraft stuff or not. I'm not really like hyped on it in a way that would make me want to like really paint that Rainer figure right this minute. Um, I need to finish my Zaku for Gundam Assembled. He's just kind of been chilling for a while. Put some decals on him and then mat it back down for painting more. Um, so I don't know. We'll be back on Friday. I'll be painting something. See what it is. Throw a raid out though. Let's raid somebody. Oh yeah, Rob. Raid. Start this up. All right. I'll see you all on Friday.